All right, guys, so let's continue on with this lesson. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about how to find central ideas. And then we're going to talk about a little bit about how we go about understanding how the author is connecting ideas within a text. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this. So you have a nonfiction text, proposed treatment affects genetic diseases, raises ethical issues, right? So you guys should have already thought about this a little bit with the video. So now I want you guys to try and read this text and come up with some ideas about how they're connecting ideas within the text, right? So I'm going to read a little bit of this to you. The federal government is considering whether to allow scientists to take a controversial step, make changes in some of the genetic material in a woman's egg that would be passed down through generations. So we're talking about genetically modifying reproductive cells, right? And when we do that, we make changes to what their babies are going to be like. Mark Sauer of the Columbia University Medical Center, a member of one of two teams of U.S. scientists pursuing the research, calls the effort to prevent infants from getting devastating genetic diseases noble, right? Meaning it's a good idea. It's something that we should strive for. Sauer says the groups are hoping to cure diseases and help women deliver healthy, normal children. But the research also raises a variety of concerns, including worries it could open the door to creating designer babies, right? That's a phrase that was used in the video. The Food and Drug Administration has scheduled an October 22nd hearing to consider the issues. Now, when we look at this, right, we're talking about all these situations, right? We have uh, changes to genetic material in a woman's egg. We have the idea of preventing genetic diseases as being noble. And then we have the concerns about designer babies, right? And so when we're looking at all that information, really, I would consider all of this to be the introduction, right? The reason for that is because each one of these short paragraphs kind of brings up a small point, but kind of illustrating the whole idea, right? That genetic manipulation could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. We're not sure what, right? And so that's in those first three paragraphs. Now, when I have you guys write essays, we try and do something a lot more structured, right? So you have your introduction, you have your background, you have your thesis statement. In this, there's no clear thesis statement here, right? But you have an understanding that we're talking about genetic modification and whether or not it's a good idea, right? So um, that's what I'm getting from the very beginning. Now, that's how you guys should approach an informational text, right? You look at the beginning of the text and you try and figure out what's going on. Hopefully, when you guys are reading a nonfiction article, the introductory paragraph is a lot more structured than this, right? The other place I would look for the central idea of a text or the main idea of a text is in the conclusion, right? So if I were looking at trying to figure out a test question, I'd probably just read the first couple paragraphs in the text and then the last couple paragraphs in the text, right? So looking at these last four, since they're all like very short, now the scientists who want to do this say they're nowhere near being able to do anything like that, and all their research so far indicates the procedure they propose is safe, right? And science is always safe until it's not. Abuses in medicine can occur, and they do, says Sauer, but that's not what this is about, right? It's about saving lives. For her part, Martin hopes the research keeps going. It may be too late for her, but it may help other women like her, such as her younger sister. Any woman would love to be able to create a baby of her own, Martin says. Having that kind of gift it's a priceless gift to us. So I hope that would be an option for our family, right? So talking about genetic modification, maybe the point of this article is saying that even though genetic modification is dangerous, that it should still go on, right? Because we're giving hope to families, right? So that's what I'm getting. Even though the central idea is probably that there are dangers with genetic modification, but we should still continue, right? And I'm getting that from the beginning and from the end, especially the end, right? If we were saying something negative about genetic modification, our very last quote here would probably not be something so hopeful, right? So it's super important that when we're looking, we understand the connotation of the sentences against the material or information that we're talking about, right? So it's the connotation of these last sentences that helps me understand that this is a very hopeful article about genetic modification, right? So going back to other parts of the text, right? Um, well, what are some ideas that they're trying to connect here, right? Uh, so one of the ideas that we're connecting is devastating genetic diseases, right? The fact that we are using the word devastating, the fact we're talking about genetic diseases, all kind of tells me that that these ideas are important to the text, right? They're starting at the very beginning. So, what should I think about while I'm reading this, right? I'm going to think about how this is shown in the text, and I'm going to think about why they talk about these specific ideas. For example, scientists estimate that 1 in every 200 women carries defects in her mtDNA. Between 1 in 2,000 and 1 in 4,000 babies may be born each year with syndromes caused by these genetic glitches. The syndromes range from mild to severe. In many cases, there is no treatment, and the affected child dies early in life, right? So, why bring this up? How does this support the idea that we need to use genetic modification? Hmm. Well, if I think about the issue of genetic modification, I'm going to understand that if it's 1 in every 200 women, well, that's kind of a lot. And so this idea supports the idea that genetic modification should be used because it's such a common problem, right? So that's why the author includes it. And how does this support them, right? It supports them by showing how dangerous genetic diseases are, okay? So I want you guys to go ahead, go through the rest of the article, read up on it, and then answer the questions at the end. All right? Very good. Have a good one.